Hello, everyone. Today is February 9th, I think. Um, no, February 10th, Sunday, February 10th. So, let me tell you about my dream. I had a dream about my husband. I had a dream about my husband, and in the dream, there was like a board on the wall, and it said Ephesians 23. And he had all these notes. And then he had like situations, like little, like pinpoint situations that he had experienced in life that had taken effect on him. Um, and then the Ephesians 23 stood out. I mean, there were all these notes, so I remember that. I also remember before I saw this board on the wall saying Ephesians 23. He was saying things like almost like talking. I can't remember if he was just talking out loud or talking to someone, but he knew his scriptures. Like he was reading, like he knew the scriptures. He knew the scriptures word for word. And then I looked at the board and it said Ephesians 23. It stood out very prominently over every other writing that was written down. And then, so I remember that. And then, this is the other thing I remember. He said to me in the dream that, well, I asked him, I said, I remember wanting him to come home. And I said, come back to your family. And he was being resistant as he's been in real life. um, so that wasn't different. But he did say, he seemed very excited about this. He said, I have to go tell people, and this is just me summing up what he said because it may not be verbatim, but basically he was saying he was excited about knowing about God's word and he needed to go to the prisons and tell people about God. Me, I was obviously being very selfish in that moment. Now when I look back, that was selfish of me because when he said that, I was angry. Like, so you're going to do that before coming back to your family? So I was upset. And he was like, yeah, like this, I can't do anything I got to do before I do this. Like, this was priority. And then all I remember is like he left, and then that was it. So I was angry about that. And then there's other parts of the dream that made no sense. It had nothing to do with him. So I won't get into that. But when I woke up and I started thinking, like, Ephesians 23, there is no chapter 23 in Ephesians. There's verse 23. So I wanted to go pull verses that had verse 23. Now, Ephesians only, I believe, has 6 whole chapters in it. The book of Ephesians has a total of 6 chapters. So that was a little bit easier for me to just look for verse 23. When you look in chapter 1, it says verse 23, which is his body, the fullness of him that filleth all in all. So to me, I'm like, okay. I'm not sure how that relates to my dream, but, I know it's talking about Christ and his body. So I said, okay. So then I turned to, so I went through, chapter 2, there's no verse 23. Chapter 3, there's no verse 23. Chapter 4, it does have verse 23, and it says this, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind. So I said, is that, me finding out now that, is that a sense of a sign to me? So then this kind of like really made me say, maybe this is what the dream is about. I looked at chapter 5, and it says, For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, and he is the Savior of the body. How, coincidental is that verse 23 is talking about a husband. And it says, for the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, and he is the Savior of the body. So then I said, this is for me. This is for me to know. This was, definitely for God. God wanted me to know this. And it also, again, just made me realize, like, this is my husband's purpose. Like, God, I feel as if God was revealing to me what the purpose he has set forth for my husband in this life. Like, he's supposed to be doing prison ministry, or, going out and spreading the gospel to people in prison. And that is his purpose. And that I was being very selfish in the dream, because what God has first comes before anything I want. Yeah, it would be nice to have my whole family back, but the fact that he was wanting to do something for God first. The man serves God, and the woman serves, as far as earthly, we submit to our husbands. So I was like, yeah, that God is trying to show me that is how he had set it up. I feel like that's what it is. I'm not saying I know it for sure, but just like knowing that I turned to 23 in chapter 5, and it's talking about the husband. And that stood out in my dream, Ephesians 23. Like, there's no chapter 23. And then the fact that he wanted to do something for the Lord. Like, that's total opposite than in what's happening in real life. Like, he's not living for the Lord right now. So this dream was, I feel from God. Because in the dream, he wanted to serve the Lord. He wanted to go to the prisons and he seemed excited. I remember that. He was excited about it. So I hope that he will be able to fulfill that purpose that God has set forth for him. To go out there and I want him to be saved, and that he can go and talk to people in the prisons. It could make a big difference for someone's life or lives. Yeah, that's it. I just wanted to share that dream.